Hi, I'm Jason with Rainier Shade, and in this video we're going to show you how to change out a motor in one of our motorized retractable awnings. So when you go to change your motor out, you're going to want to usually start with it about a foot to 2 feet out. Since your motor's probably dead if you're changing it out, you're going to need to use your crank and crank it out. To about there, like I said, about a foot, and that's a good starting point. So now that it's out, you're also going to want to tie up your arms. That way they don't come loose on you when you release the motor. These are under spring tension, so you're going to want to make sure you tie them with something good. In this case, I have a piece of fabric I'm using to tie it up, but you can use a rope or a strap. And get it good and tight. And then you can take your crank again, put it back in, and then you're going to want to make sure those are holding good and relieve tension on this fabric right here. There we go. And we're ready to pull the motor. All right, so now that your arms are tied up, you're ready to pull your motor. If you have the optional hood, you're going to have to remove probably at least the wing, if not the whole hood. But usually you can just get away with removing the wing. You're going to remove these 3 Phillips. Set that aside. And then you're also going to need to remove this end cap here, which is also a Phillips screw right here in the center. And that should be just pressure fit on there and pull off. So before you pull the motor, you're going to want to make sure and disconnect any wires you have. In our case, we're TUV rated, so we have a ground wire connected here as part of our rating. And then also you're going to have this quick connect that you're going to unscrew. So go and unscrew that. Set the wire aside. And then also you can remove the ground screw right here or at the torsion bar. Put this little spot a little easier to get to. All that, and your ground wire is disconnected, and you're ready to pull your motor. So now that the wires are disconnected, you're able to remove these 2 screws to pull the motor. It's a 7/16 either ratchet wrench or socket, whatever you got. Now keep a pressure up on this, and it helps remove those screws so there's not so much pressure on them. Once you remove those, you can swing this whole motor out like that and actually rest it on the ties that you previously tied there. So now that you have your motor disconnected, you can actually lift that up and pull it out. We have a wall in our way, so we have to lift it a little bit higher and slide it out, and you're good to go. Okay, so since your new motor isn't going to come with your crown and drive, your override crank, or your motor mount, you're going to want to take those off of your old motor. Since there's so many holes, it's a universal bracket, you're going to want to probably mark which one we used originally so that it can line back up properly. So I'm going to mark this little hole there so I know that that's one of them, and then I'm going to mark this one just as a reference point. So to remove your crown and drive, you're going to need to remove the drive first because it's locked on. There's 2 little tabs right there. You can see that hold it on. There's one there, one there. Once you release those, it should pull off like that. And then you can also pull your crown off, and you've got those set aside. So next you want to remove the universal mounting bracket from the motor. To do that, you're going to remove these 2 Allen screws. It takes a 3/16 Allen wrench to do it. You're just going to loosen them up, remove them, and then you get your bracket off. So the last thing you'll need to remove from the old motor is your override crank eye. It takes a 3mm Allen wrench, and just remove the screw. It is very important on this one not to lose the little 3mm screw at the top and washer because it won't stay in otherwise. So once you get this removed, then be careful not to lose that. Like I said, put it over and get that washer, and you're good to go. All right, so now that you got the parts off your old motor, you're going to put all the parts back on your new motor, just the way they were. So now that you've got your new motor fully assembled with all your parts, you're going to reinsert it into here. You will notice here that there's a couple of grooves here. And then on the end of your drive, there's 4 different openings. You want to make sure that you're sliding it in to where it's as tight as you can get it. Usually you test a couple different ones to make sure you're getting the tightest fit. In our case, I've already pre-tested, so this should be the right one here. And then this one I can rotate around also. It's the same thing. You can kind of test and see which one is the good fit. That one's a little loose. That one's pretty good right there. So we're going to want that one. And then slide it the rest of the way in. Okay, so now that you've got the motor in, I'm going to put it back up here. And there's actually, as you notice, a lot of holes here. So the original way is going to be angled out. I usually get right on the end here and eyeball center on that to where the holes line up. The center hole, you can see the center of that bracket, and you'll know that you're all on it from there. And then you're going to take your 7/16 wrench or socket, wherever you got, tighten that up. And you've got your motor in. Okay, now that your motor is secured, you're going to put your ground wire back to your pre-drilled hole here. And then you can reconnect your power. Again, you can look at the plug. There's actually 2 little prongs here and there, so you can actually fit those together. They only go one way. Screw it back together. And then you can plug it in and get programmed. Okay, so I've reinstalled the awning end bracket cover and the wing cover. Before I power up the motor, I'm going to want to crank the slack back up on the arms and remove the straps. So to do that, I'm going to crank this in. And then I can just cut these straps loose at this point in time. And you're ready to power up the motor and get it programmed. All right, so once you get your motor plugged in and powered up, the motor is going to come in factory mode, so you're going to have to reprogram it. On a Sania motor, it's a little different than the screen motors and normal motors. It has a little different process for programming. You're going to wake it up, make sure you're on the right channel. So I start with channel 1 on this one. Hold it up and down, it's going to jog, wakes it up, and marries it to that channel. Then you're going to check your direction, make sure down brings it out, and up brings it in. And you're correct here. So you bring it out to the outermost point. You don't want your arms to lock out, so you're going to watch your elbows and make sure they're not locking out on you. Right about there for me. And then what you're going to do is you're going to press the mine up at the same time. So I'm going to press mine up, it's going to start running in. And now as soon as it starts moving, the difference on these motors is right about here. I'm going to have to stop it about mid-position. And then to finalize it, you're going to push and hold the my button, and it's going to come out a little bit. And then it's going to go back in. And what it's doing at that point in time is it's setting an inner tension limit. It's going to suck up to the roller tube, and it's going to stop right there, setting its inner limit. And then you can finalize the programming. That's what to poke the back of the remote with. Just push this, and you're done. You should be able to run it out. Limits are set.